Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brainal podcast. This is episode 57, and today is Wednesday, February the 15th, 2017. I am Frozen GFX.
And this is Mr. Giggles.
And the other members of our Brainal podcast, Jeppy Condal and Good Coffee, weren't able to make it today, but I have been graced to get Giggles back on the line with us. Giggles, how the hell have you been, man? You've been MIA for such a long time.
I know, this whole month I've been gone. I've missed you guys. I hope everyone's doing well. I can't wait to talk about some of the stuff to talk about tonight. Everything's good, man. It's good to be back. I can't wait to be back on these podcasts.
Good. I mean, I know we give you a lot of crap, but it's good to hear you again. It's been such a long time, and you're right, man. A lot of things has happened since the last time you were on. Man, I think you were on last in probably the end of 2016, right?
Yeah, this is my first official podcast of the year.
All right, cool. So, first things first, let's talk about things that you've played since the last time you've spoken with us. I would imagine there's a lot of things you've played.
All right, I'm going to kind of burn through it. There's two I'll talk about in some depth, but the rest I'm just going to burn through. So for Christmas, I got Titanfall 2, which was incredible. I beat that.
Really?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I actually beat Final Fantasy 15 Christmas Day.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was incredible. Let's see, what else did I play? Oh, Dishonored 1 and 2.
Really? So have you ever played the first one before, or did you get to and then decided you needed to go back to play 1?
So since I've been hanging out with all of you guys, I realized I have this thing now. I think I've adopted it from you guys through osmosis that I now have to play them in order. So Christmas rolled around.
Right there.
Yeah, and I actually blame him for this. So now I felt the need to play through, and they came out with the definitive edition now, so you can play it on PS4 or Xbox One. So I got both of those. So I played 1, I beat 1, and then I immediately started 2, which was nice because then you know what I mean. Like I had the whole story. I was fresh up on everything.
Right.
So,
well, can you kind of explain to me what that game is? Because I'll be honest with you, I have no history with the Dishonored games. And I know that Dishonored 2 had a very big hype to it when it came out. I mean, I saw the commercials, I saw the trailers for it. It looked badass, but I can't relate to the story because I just don't know what the hell it's about.
Well, that's the best part. It's kind of disjointed between 1 and 2, but it's basically it's a stealth game. Have you know of Deus Ex, right?
I know of it, yeah.
Okay. Deus Ex kind of plays like a stealth game. It's kind of about being crafty. I'm trying to think of what other games are kind of like that, but it's all about stealth and how you want to play. I mean, the game rewards you. The whole experience of the game, the world of the game changes whether you're good or bad. So whether you decide to be like brutal or whether you decide not, it's basically I'm not really spoiling anything. It's basically a revenge story.
Okay.
And then basically it doesn't necessarily directly translate to 2 with like what you do in the first game, but it is a sequel to the first game. So,
So is it like a true sequel, or is it just like a?
it is a true sequel. So
Okay.
the storyline, the first game obviously is basically the father, and then the sequel you can actually kind of the big thing with it is you could go as the father or the daughter, and it carries on the storyline of what happens later on.
Nice.
Um, it was good. I'll tell you right now. Um, I don't. I think it was a little hyped up. I thought it was still great. I found myself a little bit more frustrated with this one. I really liked the second one, the first one. I mean, there's obviously things that could have been perfected, which I think they did in the second one, which made me really happy. But altogether, like, it was a really good story. I expect a third. I'd kind of be surprised if there wasn't.
Really? Okay.
But you can tell that they never expected to make a second one. Like there was no, which kind of makes me happy about it, because like sometimes games will like hold back parts of the story because they want you to wait for the second one.
Right. Right.
This one you could tell there was never really an expectation. I mean, and not just because of the length between the games came out, I think like 8 years apart.
Mm.
So, and I might that might even be longer than that, but I think at least 8 years apart. But you could tell where in the first game they didn't. The first game doesn't really build on anything with him or anything that kind of takes place in the second. Like the second kind of takes place, and they built it all up in the commercials. Did you watch any of the trailers for it?
Yeah, I saw some of the trailers and some of the commercials for it, and I actually saw like a huge commercial on TV about it. But again, I didn't know the story and what it was about.
Yeah, they kind of like things they didn't really build on in the first one are now a big deal in the second one. So you can honestly kind of skip the first one and just kind of read up on the backstory real quick. But in all honesty, I think I like the first one better. If the first one just had the fixings of the second one, hands down, the first one would have destroyed the second one. But it was good. I enjoyed it.
So you mentioned that in your opinion, it's clear that they didn't foresee a sequel when they made the first game. So do you think that's why it kind of feels disjointed? Because earlier you said they kind of feel disjointed from each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I should have made that point right off the bat. That's exactly what it is, and you can tell that now you're a big lore guy. You're kind of like me. You and Jeppy are all very similar. Like we like learning about the world that we're playing in.
Yeah.
So just like in most games, like you can go around and read books and things like that. So if you do that, especially in the beginning of the game, there's little books you can pick up and read that kind of fill in little details that they didn't put in the first one, so that the two are more connected. I mean, it's still the same character, so it's still very much connected, but story-wise, they try to do little things to fill in holes.
What about the gameplay aspect of it? Because I'll give you my opinion on these type of stealth games. My introduction to that was back in the day with Metal Gear Solid. Then there was like Splinter Cell. And then, through the years, I guess Assassin's Creed is a bit kind of a stealthy type of game too. But even though those games touched on different genres within the game, like military and then kind of like a historical part, do you think there was anything to the Dishonored games that kind of put itself ahead or just kind of aside from those classic stealthy type games?
Yeah. The world in itself. So if you like steampunk, this is very much your type of game. It's very, in a way, steampunkish without being super steampunkish. Picture when you play that game, Dishonored, I kind of say like picture like a really, really sad Industrial Revolution type game. Like you're in that world where everything's just kind of gray and miserable, and your actions help kind of determine if in that point in time it becomes more gray and miserable, or maybe there's some hope in the world for somebody.
So it's a bit like a dystopian type of.
It's exactly what it is. It's and there's some political intrigue. I mean, not a lot, but enough, and it's kind of like um, it's kind of realistic in the sense that even the good guys you kind of don't like at times. You're like, you know what I mean? They're kind of like
Yeah.
roughed up. No one's really like good or innocent in any of it. And the beauty
There's no
of the
hero.
game, yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. You are playing as the hero, but you're at the same token, um, you're trying to do right in a world that's just not right. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
no matter what you do, someone's losing out, and you realize that. And the whole point of the game, in a way, one of the story arcs, I guess, of the game is to kind of make you see that. So I really enjoyed it. I think you would enjoy it. I think that you're going to be one of those people that you're going to want to find all the little books and things like that because they tell you about the world. It's kind of like, and I'm going to bring up Destiny. It's kind of like Destiny in some ways, where if you don't read up on it, you don't look up like the cards, the Grimoire cards. There's going to be parts of this world you're going to be like, oh man, I wish I knew something about this, but because you didn't explore, you didn't find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I'm that way to a certain extent, but I get that way whenever I finish a game like that, and then I'm like, okay, I want to know more about what I just experienced, rather than just like, taking the time to read all these different volumes of books to get an understanding why I need to kill this guy or why I need to do this mission. But,
Yeah. I mean, your directives are very good. I'll tell you right now, the one thing I did like is that they made the AI, I said AR, God, the AI much smarter. So, like, for example, you remember now I played Metal Gear Solid 2 with Jeppy a year and a half ago. And, it's one of those things, if you were following two guys down a hallway and you kidnapped one without the other one noticing, like, when the other one turns back around, like, he doesn't realize the other one isn't there.
yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, in this game, the way they fixed it is, like, for example, if there's a group of people talking, and this is just like in Deus Ex 2, if there's a group of people talking and you knock out one of them while they're having a conversation, the other ones, like, even if they're not facing each other, like, they could, like, for example, there's a mission where you're going through this room and there's two guys, you're going through this building, and one of the rooms you go through, there's two guys facing away from each other, but they're having a conversation. If you knock out one of them, because he stops talking, the other one realizes it and turns around. So you have to knock him quick. And if two guys are walking and patrolling a room and one disappears, if they're walking right by each other and their paths cross and all of a sudden they're not there, the other one will be like, there's someone supposed to be over here. Like, he'll say that and he'll start looking.
Nice.
So in that way, it does add a challenge. Because realistically, if me and you were guarding a hallway and Jeppy came and, like, took me out, you'd be like, there's two people here a minute ago.
I'd be like, oh, nothing's changed. This is as usual.
This actually feels a little bit better right now. But yeah, so that was cool. But yeah, so that made it more fun. The combat's always really interesting in stealth games. I always think the combat could be a little bit better, but once again, it's designed to really be a stealth game, and I think you have to appreciate that. I found, I'll be honest, with the second one, that where the first one I explored a lot more and I got a lot more of the items to help you upgrade your character. The second one I just kind of burned through a bit more. I was like, I've got enough. I've got everything, all the spells I need. I'll grab one extra thing and then I'll just move on.
Yeah.
So I did it like that, but overall, I would give it a solid, like, 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, I've seen a lot of good reviews about it, but like I told you before, I have nothing to draw my opinion from except for the commercials that I saw. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll pick it up in the future to just experience it.
I would definitely play one first.
Yeah, I was about to say I would definitely want to go back to the first one to play that, and especially since you said it's like a true sequel. I don't want to spoil anything for myself or just not understand the story.
Yeah, well, you know what it is? It's not even just understanding the story, because they do a good job of kind of going back and creating some dialogue. It's the fact that your motivations for characters is there. So you understand when certain characters say something or they do. You know what I mean? Doesn't it
Yeah.
annoy you when you play a game the protagonist is like, "Oh, we've got to do this," and it's like, why? Like, why do you care about this? It has nothing to
Right.
do with you.
Right.
You would. I feel like you could play two without playing one, but you might get a little bit of that while playing through.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, let me move on.
Yeah.
So I played all of those, and then right now, obviously waiting for Breath of the Wild. We'll talk about that. But right now, I'm kind of playing between Skyrim because I got the remastered edition.
That's right. I do remember you telling us that.
Yeah, which now I'm kind of disappointed in myself because now that I know that it would be HD on Switch, I kind of wish I did that, but it doesn't matter. I still love it. But I'm playing that, and then I picked up The Witcher 3 on sale, the special edition.
You see, that's another game that I've heard great things about, but I have no idea what it's about.
I'll tell you right now, the same thing with Jeppy told me this, and he was right. I did wish I kind of played The Witcher 2.
Okay.
They are direct sequels to one another in the sense that the actions of one game, the main actions of one, seem to come across in another. And although they kind of say what's going on, there's definitely Easter eggs and nods off to things that I know were in the other games, but I don't really know what they're about.
Okay.
So I kind of feel like I get involved in the world and I'm very interested in what happens, but I still feel kind of disconnected because I didn't play the other ones, if that makes sense.
No, totally understand.
So that, and then I've been replaying Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I just love that game, and the DLC came out, second one, so I tapped into that real quick just to check that out.
Cool, man.
Or the first one. Second one's coming out soon. So yeah, that's what I've been. What have you been playing? I haven't talked to you in forever.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, just to kind of catch you up, over the holidays, I actually was gifted Until Dawn by from Jeppy. So I played that. Really, really enjoyed that game. Have you played that?
That's the one where it's almost like movie-esque, right? It's the horror game, correct?
Yeah, it's a very movie-like game where. Do you remember those books back in the day, like the Choose Your Adventure type of thing?
Oh my god, like barely, but I know what you're talking about.
Well, it's that aspect is heavily involved in that game. So like whatever you do or whatever actions you choose are going to affect the outcome in one way or another. So it definitely has a lot of different endings, a lot of different experiences. And the cool thing about the game, which I know for myself, I had an experience in the past, was the option of doing nothing can actually benefit you rather than doing something. And
so like you're saying, like, I don't mean to cut you off, but are you saying like if you saw that you could help in a moment and you didn't, it might actually benefit you later on versus if you did?
exactly, like either that, or if you had to make a choice for to do one thing or the other, and you just don't decide, it's not a game over. It's not a penalty. Well, I mean, it could be a penalty. I just didn't experience that. But it was one of those things where it's like, well, I can do nothing right now, even though every inch of me is telling me, oh, choose something before the time runs out. I could just sit back and do nothing. And most often than not, in my experience, it favored towards a positive ending. So I thought that was really cool because, again, like I said, that's not something that I had experienced before of just not doing anything, not making a choice. But I will say, I'm not going to spoil anything from that, but I will say that I really, really enjoy the game. There's so much to do to go even to once you finish it, to go back, even to try to find the different things that you missed or choose different actions, because you can also go chapter by chapter. And you can just change your whole experience. So it's got a hell of a lot of replayability on that. So I played that. Also, I think Jeppy told me you and Coffee and him went in on the Uncharted collection for me, which I appreciate. So I played Uncharted 1. That was awesome. I know that it's an older game, and the controls are a little bit wonky, but I soldiered through it, and I finished it. I really enjoyed the story. I started going on number 2, but I got kind of sidetracked with some Destiny and some Street Fighter. But it's there. I'll go back to it without a doubt.
Let me ask you this question, because
sure.
you're 2 and it's fresh in your mind. So you mentioned something that I think is to me, is a very thing I'm critical of in the Uncharted series. You mentioned the gameplay.
Yeah.
And the kind of the controls.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find, now mind you, I haven't been in the last few podcasts, so when you were playing 1, did you find that sometimes they try to make it too, not cinematic, but they try to give it too of like a movie-like view, that it screwed up the camera controls for you? It made it a little bit more frustrating?
Yeah, there were at times, especially in 1, where I believe that they just wanted to show the scenery, the place that you were at, and it just seems that your position in that place was kind of a side note, and the camera didn't benefit the gameplay at all. And even trying to manipulate that, or trying to manipulate my place within that particular map or that area, didn't really do it any good, because there were enemies in different places that I hadn't even seen or even knew were accessible. So it was a bit of an annoyance and frustrating aspect for playing that. But once I started getting into it and getting further in the game, I understood. Again, it's an older game. I just kind of have to soldier through it. And in the end, I mean, it worked out. But there were definitely times I was like, oh my God, this is so aggravating. But, what are you going to do, right?
I mean, I originally played that first one after it first came out, within a year of it coming out, because that was a big PS3 game, Uncharted, and I played this. The second one had just come out, it was actually, the second one actually already come out. I take that back, and I played both, and that was something I noticed. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know how far you are into the second one, and I don't remember specific parts of the story. I know the overall, but I'll tell you that's something with those games is something I'm always critical of, because the world is so beautiful, but sometimes they try to show you how small you are and how big the world is, and I feel like sometimes it hurts it more than it does. I'll tell you, it obviously gets better because they perfect that technique. I'll tell you though, it's something with all 4 of them that I always feel is part of the issue. But I still love the game all the same.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's really fun.
But you have to hurry up and beat it so that we can all talk about it, because Jeppy's been waiting to talk to you about that since for forever.
Oh man. Well, I mean, you guys know my history. It takes me forever and a day to try to beat a game. So I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. So okay, one of the things that I want to talk to you about, because I don't really think I got your true opinion on it, was obviously the huge announcement of Nintendo Switch. So I know Jeppy and I know Coffee went ham over it. I actually watched that event with Jeppy on a live stream and got his totally unfiltered, genuine reaction to that gorgeous, that gorgeous trailer for Breath of the Wild. But what if you can sum up your thoughts, man? What's your thoughts on it?
Okay, I can make a few easy, quick points. I was kind of underwhelmed by the overall presentation.
Really?
Well, so let me clarify before you say anything. So, overall, I was kind of underwhelmed because I was hoping for a little bit more in specifics, I guess. One, for the console. Two, I kind of felt like they were trying to, a big part of it was them like rehashing things that we kind of already knew and kind of trying to hype them up. 3, a lot of the games once again are games that are kind of already out, which I wish they wouldn't like they came right off the bat late, like right after, and said that these are definitely coming in and blah blah blah. So I kind of wish they had done that in it. I did feel like certain parts dragged on just a little bit. Of course, to me, the whole thing was still worth watching just because of the last trailer. The Breath of the Wild trailer basically made that whole thing. Well, it could have been probably 30 minutes longer, and I still would have been okay with it. But I was kind of like, I was really excited, but like they said they were going to give out all this information, and a big thing, and I talked to you guys about this back in December, was like, oh, it's going to be HD, but then it was like, no, it might not be, it might not have the power to do this, and I expected a lot more specifics coming out of it. So
I got you.
I guess that maybe the problem was is that when I had read the outline of what that was going to be about, I expected more specifics out of it, and when I didn't get that, I kind of felt a little let down. And then when some of the speakers were just kind of drowning on, I was like, oh, come on. Like, we kind of know it does this. We kind of know it's dynamic in the sense that the controller can do this. Like, I appreciate that you're taking the time to really go over your product, but like these are things that you already kind of touched upon. Like those are things you should kind of fast forward through and then move on.
Yeah, but I think though that there was a lot at that time. There was still a lot of rumors as far as what some of the features and capabilities of the Joy-Con controller or the dock and things like that. So for me, I appreciate them kind of sectioning it out like they did and explaining, especially with the controllers, how versatile they can be, and then of course them showing the color options, which Jeppy just flew over the moon over that one.
And to be honest, I was really excited about that too. To be honest, I thought that was super cool.
So, question is, did you pre-order it?
I screwed up. I went to a store like 4 days after, and fair to say, I was 4 days too late.
Yeah.
I immediately looked, and I've been looking because supposedly like Walmart hasn't released all of their like it was something weird on their website, and I think it's just a bunch of crap. I don't know if it's true, but I've been looking to see if maybe I can snag one. I've gotten lucky before. How I got my PS4 was someone bought an extra one and didn't realize it, which how that happens, I don't know. But literally as they were walking into the store, as I was about to drive 100 miles to another store to get a PS4, they literally walked by me, and I asked them if they were returning it, and they said yes. And I literally followed them into the store, rebought it, and walked out. So I'm hoping I can get lucky. You never know. But as soon as there's one available for all of us lame people that didn't pre-order it, I will get it.
Gotcha. Well, I would imagine, I know for a fact that even if you didn't pre-order it, there's still going to be limited quantities for you to purchase. You just got to be the right place at the right time, and get there. Obviously get there early enough. If I can give you a tip, if you have a Kmart near you, people don't really use Kmart anymore, but that might help you out, man.
No, and you know what's funny is I was thinking about that because everyone always goes to, by me, they go to GameStop, we have Best Buy, and then we also have a private company. It's a small local game store, which I try to support every once in a while, called Game Zone.
Okay.
So I was actually thinking about swinging by there to see if they would have in-store copies to sell. So I'm going to check that out. But they're actually from that Game Zone that I'm going to 3 minutes down the road, there's a Kmart. So I might try to sneak one over there.
Yeah, man. Those little, places that are no longer on the radar, so to speak, or just kind of dying out. They definitely want to.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, in another game, the only game I guess I didn't mention that I was playing is I've been playing Twilight Princess because I never beat it.
Ah, cool.
So I'm trying to do that so that I can basically trade all of that in so I can go buy a Switch.
Right. Well, I personally did not pre-order it. I really, really thought about it. But I am going to wait. And the reason why I'm going to wait really is just because I wasn't too impressed with the lineup for the launch titles. One thing that I mentioned before in the previous podcast was ARMS. I thought that was going to be like really fun to play. I'm kind of excited to play that. And of course, Breath of the Wild. But other than that, I didn't really see that much that would draw me in. So I think I am going to wait for that and get some and see what other games are going to come out for it. But I know when it does come out, Jeppy, like I said, Jeppy and Coffee are going to get it. I'm going to be in a position to go up towards Jeppy at the end of March, so I may be able to get my little fix on that. But I wish you all the luck, though, trying to find it when it launches.
Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I really want it. But after, and I guess I didn't say this before, but part of the reason I was underwhelmed is kind of, and I didn't really explain it, is for the same reason. There wasn't a lot that they were pushing besides Breath of the Wild. And that in and of itself is worth me getting it because I'm going to play that game until it breaks. But, my whole thing was just the fact that, and this is something we've talked about in podcasts before, I think we talked about actually back in December, is I get disappointed when majority of the games they're announcing are just remakes or remasters of games that are already out.
Yeah.
And Nintendo does it, and they do it so well that they get people hooked and they buy into it. I mean, I buy into it. But at the same token, it's just the fact that it didn't come out that strong, and I was like, you know what? For me to spend $300 to buy it, and then another, whatever to get the special edition, I go, because that's the only game I'm waiting to play on it, and the money I'm going to spend to play that one game, I'm okay with waiting. If I got to wait a week or two, I'll wait. It's not a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I understand.
Don't get me wrong. Like I've been gone for a month and now I'm back, but like Breath of the Wild is everything I feel that it should be in that trailer. I might be gone for the rest of my life, but like,
yeah. What I think is such a bummer is to find out that you can't change the language in Breath of the Wild. Because, Giggles, let me tell you, when we saw the trailer, Jeppy and I saw that trailer and heard the Japanese voice for the characters, for me personally, man, it brought in a whole different level of excitement for me. I don't know why, because, again, it's Japanese language and I don't speak Japanese. I don't understand it. But the voice acting alone sounded so amazing. But then to hear that we're not going to be able to change it and we'll get the English version, okay, fine, we'll get the English version, we'll be able to understand it. But I don't think, and I even saw the English trailer, I don't think it has that much gravitas to it like the Japanese voice acting did.
Really? I mean, to be honest, I only watched part of the Japanese one. I watched the English one. And I guess maybe I need to watch the full thing because once I knew, because I watched it the day after. Because I'll be honest, I actually would have watched that with you guys. I screwed up and got the dates wrong.
Oh.
And I remember I was at the gym and I think Jeppy texted me and I literally almost fell over. And I was like, oh my God. And then you know what it was? Is like, I didn't want to get into it halfway through. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I've already missed it. I'll wait. Let me watch it from the beginning. Because I don't want to watch it and then find out, oh, dude, if you had seen this. So I waited. I don't know. I'm so excited. I don't care what language it's in. I think that this is the Zelda game that, like, I've been building up towards my whole life.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. And if I could segue into the news, if you don't have anything else.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so great segue from Breath of the Wild into something that I found today, and I think I kind of broke the hearts of Jeppy and Coffee talking about it, kind of spoiling something. But I saw a GIF online of, it was entitled Breath of the Wild footage shows that lightning is attracted to the metal armor that you wear. So it showed Link running across, which I would imagine is Hyrule, and it was raining, it was stormy. He had on what looked like a metal shield, like, a polished metal shield, and there was some little static bolts as he was running across the field, and then a huge lightning strike that, from what I saw, and I watched this so many times, it depleted his hearts, and the surrounding area caught up in flames.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's going to be a difficult thing to navigate through and to maintain if these real type of physics, are going to be implemented in that. But how freaking genius is that? That's awesome to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like, I like the jump that, the thing about Zelda is they've done an amazing job of showing how much bigger the world has become through the stories. We know there's a chronological order to all the Zeldas, which really makes me interested where this one falls in. And I look forward to the physics of that game and how it's going to play in, because it's like, this one's so open world. So, like, I love the fact that they're going to try to give you, at least my impression of that is they're going to try to give you the feeling that, like, you are really in a world by yourself in this giant open world. And I think that just fascinates me. Like, that will make me play that game and not even do the story for just hours on end on its own. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I definitely understand.
And to me, that's so fascinating. And when you saw that and you sent that clip, it just, like, it gave me goosebumps. It got me so excited because I'm like, man, the fact that they've really gone all out like this, and just that scene of him getting hit and the things catching on fire, and then, like, he got shaken from it. You know what I mean? Like, you physically see him shake, and like, that is just so cool in so many ways. And I think it's a bigger deal for people who have played Zelda from the beginning, because nowadays, with younger people that play games, you see a lot more of that now because the technology is there. But when we all played Zelda, he screamed. He maybe went a different color, and then everything went on. Like, to me, that's just so amazing.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, so I think the other thing we should mention about Breath of the Wild is the DLC announcement. And I think that came out yesterday. I posed a question to you guys, not really knowing the history, if Nintendo has done this before, but I guess apparently they've done it with Mario Kart. But I don't have a Wii U, and so I didn't experience it.
It's a comment that I made when you kind of posed it before, but they, Jeppy said, they've done it with Mario Kart, and the difference is they also did a similar thing, I think, with Hyrule Warriors. It's something that's relatively new to them. I also think that this is a little bit different because I think with Hyrule, and don't quote me on it because I didn't play a lot of the DLC at Hyrule Warriors because a lot of it was just add-ons of different characters.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is the first, like, with DLC with Mario Kart, it's a multiplayer game. So you add in different tracks. It's like playing Call of Duty and they add in new maps, you know what I mean, or a new mode. It's not world building, it's just they're adding on more so it gets more playability. I feel like this isn't just for playability, this is actually building on story of the game. And from what I read it up on IGN, and I read another, I'm trying to think what the other site was I read it on. But this sounds like they're actually continuing a story, which to me is fascinating. Because usually most of those stories in Legend of Zelda are all pretty finite, you know what I mean? So I'm really excited for it. I think it's cool. I think it's a big step for them in terms of how they product their games and how they expand their games. So I'm really excited for it. I
so
cool.
so looking at the graphic here for the planned DLC that's coming out. So March 3rd, so launch of the console, launch of the game, everything, launch. Gonna have already an expansion pass bonus for 3 new treasure chests. One that's found in the Great Plateau, contains useful items, and includes exclusive in-game clothing. Then in the summer of this year, the first DLC pack adds new Cave of Trials challenge, which sounds pretty cool. A new hard mode, which is pretty dope. And additional map features. Then the holiday season of this year, the end of this year, their second DLC pack, new original story. So that goes along with what you were just saying. It looks like they're going to be adding to it. New dungeon and additional challenges. I think that's pretty dope. I think that's pretty cool of Nintendo to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a step of them showing, how they're changing as a company. I think, I told you my issue is I feel like they're always falling behind, and I feel like the one thing I did get out of that when they did their press conference was that they're trying to change that, and they're maturing in certain ways that I think are good and necessary. So when I realized when I read that they were coming out with the DLC, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I feel like I'm playing, you know what I mean? I feel like it's like a PlayStation game.
Right,
like,
right.
I feel, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, all right, this is awesome. In a game that already is probably going to have an amazing story.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, if it doesn't with what I've seen, I'm gonna cry really hard. But I'll tell you right now, and I know you guys probably touched on this, but or they might not have because they're on a media blackout for it. But did you read that article about the guys that deciphered the Hyrulean language on the back of the map? That's like a pre-order bonus thing.
No.
So I'm going to touch upon this just for a quick second, just because it's just me and you, and we've been talking about this stuff anyway. So apparently, I read this just a couple of weeks ago during my travels, and apparently there's like a map that came with some of the pre-orders. I don't know if it came over from Japan. Don't quote me on this. The article that I read it on was on IGN. You can look it up. But
quoted from Giggles, everyone.
Quoted from direct quote. So. But no, so basically there's this whole note, and they're like, oh, there's no spoilers for the game, there's no anything about that. And you know how with like the legend, with all the games you play, there's always a legend like, oh, there was a hero, he saved everyone, and then everything got really dark, and then that's how we're here now. Mm-hmm. You know how they always kind of touch upon that? Well, supposedly, these guys translated the map from Hyrulean through other... what's the book that had the chronological order of all the Zelda? I'm forgetting the name of it.
I don't remember the name, but okay.
You know the book. So apparently they were able to translate it, I guess, from that book and some other things. They translated it to Japanese and back to English. And according to the algorithm that they used, they said that their translation should be within 5% of the actual meaning. And basically, it gives the legend of what happened to this land to where you are now. And I don't want to say anything because I don't know if you want me to say anything to you about it.
No. Let's keep it on the wraps.
Yeah. So, but I can tell you that they've never had a story like this for Zelda. And I'm happy that I actually found out this information before I played the game.
Ooh.
And not that it would change the game, but I think it's actually like, if they didn't say that story within the first few minutes of the game, I'd be kind of surprised. Okay. Or that didn't get explained along the story. So if it did get ruined for me, I don't care because it's more of a backstory thing. But I think this is going to dynamically change the world of Zelda.
Big words, man. Big words, big impact.
So all I could say is for anyone who's listening that hasn't checked that out or heard something of the same, Please leave some comments if you know anything, updates on that story. I haven't seen anything in the last few weeks. I figured that would be big news if there was. Please comment, post, send us a message, let us know.
Yeah. One last thing I want to touch on, and then, feel free. I don't mean to take over from anything you want to talk about, but the last thing I just wanted to mention is I saw something pretty strange today on Twitter, and a lot of people have been commenting on it. But Xbox, out of the blue, I don't think this is normal, but to me, it just seems out of the blue, and I don't know why they did this. But they tweeted out a picture of what looks like a integrated circuit of some kind, whether it's a processing unit or a graphics processing unit. And they say in the caption here, "Brace for big news. Xbox E3 briefing will air Sunday, June 11th at 2 p.m. I thought that was kind of strange. I mean, E3 is, 4 months away, something like that?
Yeah, I believe it's in June.
Yeah, so June 11th, right. So, and they're tweeting now that there's big news to come up. So, everybody's speculating on that could be, the Scorpio project. It could be maybe something entirely new, which I would doubt, considering the Xbox One is still their kind of flagship. Well, it is their flagship console at the moment. So it's just a bit strange, and I don't think they've ever done that before. And I don't know why they've done it in so many months in advance. But who knows?
I think I'll be honest with you. So I think we can all agree that, and I know that Jeppy has said this, and other times me and him have talked, and I think Coffee has said it too. Sony has done a really good job of dominating the E3 conference, at least in my opinion. And I think everyone, according to all the reviews and all the critics, it seems to pretty much be the agreement among the community as a whole. And I think that this is Xbox knows it's been, kind of falling behind a little bit, where we all knew when it was Xbox 360 versus PS3, Xbox 360 was the game that you played all your multiplayer games on. Like, I had both, but I was way more loyal in my multiplayer games on there. Is the hype. I think that now that they've fallen behind, they got to get a hype up, and I think that's what they're doing. I expect big things. Like, I didn't buy a new Xbox yet because I have an Xbox One, but I want to upgrade it, and I'm waiting for them to announce it. Because we knew that they were going to do that. I have a feeling that Chip is going to probably be involved in that. And Scorpio and all that. I expect a big conference from all three of them. I expect Xbox to try to catch up to Sony. So I wonder if this is their way of kind of a marketing ploy of starting to swell the rumors, because you know how it is. They release one bit of information. People will dissect that one bit of information for the next, man. 3 months from now, or 3.5 months from now, 2 weeks before that comes up, there's still going to be people saying they discovered something.
Of course, right? Some kind of weird, Xbox code language in the circuitry.
They're going to be like, if you magnify it by 100 times, you'll see that it has one extra prong than that wire did in that circuit. And you're going to be like, what?
If you map the text within the Fibonacci sequence, you'll find, Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Yeah, but I think it's a hype move. I think that I do expect that they probably have something that we're all going to be really hyped and excited for. I think that that's what it's for, though, in all honesty. And it's too early that I'm going to refuse to feed into it until it gets closer.
Yeah, I'll be on the lookout for anything that comes out, but I'm not going to be searching for it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If something comes up, I'll read it. But unless it's you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. If they announce a Kingdom Hearts thing or something like that, I'm probably going to pay attention. But you know what I mean? And right now, I'll tell you right now, Halo Wars 2, I refuse to play the beta. I know it's amazing. I don't have to be told. I'm trying not to read anything. I watched the trailer because I always watch the trailers. That's just me. I don't think it really spoils it. I just like to have an idea of what the second one. And there, I'll tell you right now, I want to read all the books. I love the world of Halo. I think it's one of the greatest built worlds out there right now. And
Wow.
and if you've read any part of the books, like I've read bits and pieces of the books, like I actually want to sit and read, but that world is so amazing in so many ways. It's just as dynamic as a Mass Effect world if you get into it.
Wow.
Yeah, the games only are a fraction of that world, and they touch upon it, which is what gets me really excited. But did you ever play Halo Wars, the original?
No, man, my Halo experience was 1, 2, and 3, and that was it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you right now, if you're up hanging by Jeppy, 4 and 5 have redefined the series, in my opinion. In my opinion, it's drawn it closer to what I've read and seen in the books with like the personality of the people. It made it much more personable. But I'll tell you right now, what to me was the start of all of that was Halo Wars. Halo Wars made you really just genuinely like people. It made you care about what happened to them. And it's completely separate from everything else. Like, it still follows the same war with the Covenant and all that stuff. But it's 20 years prior. And it's when the Spartans were all Spartan 2s like John was, Master Chief, and that whole story was incredible. Like I love real-time strategy games, and I thought I thought it was as good as a strategy game. Like, I expect Halo Wars 2 to be a strategy game that's worthy of competition with games like StarCraft.
Wow.
But
Yeah, you know what? I think we talked about that a while back too.
Yeah, so when I watched the trailer, and I tried not to, but I did have a few glimpses of gameplay trailer. Like, I'll tell you right now, like I everyone's gonna be really lonely without me for a few days. Just put it out there. But anyway, moving forward.
Yeah, that's all that I had, man. Do you have anything you want to talk about?
Actually, I did want to touch on. So there's a game that I'm now considering getting, and I've been hearing a lot of hype about it. And I guess it's the last point I'll touch about, and I think we should because it's kind of a big deal. For Honor.
Yes.
I think we should talk about it. I think the viewers would like it. I have not played it. I've been yelled at for it twice already that I haven't played it. I'll be honest, I personally, and I've talked about this with you and Jeppy and Coffee, I'm not a big multiplayer guy. Like, with Overwatch, I was kind of disappointed because I thought it was like an amazing world, all these awesome characters, and I just didn't feel like it delivered to me on the story that I wanted. So I played it for about a week, maybe a week and a half, and I kind of, as quickly as I got into it, is as quickly as I fell out of it. And for Honor, when I watched the trailer, I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. And then it was all about multiplayer. And then now I'm hearing more about bits and pieces of a story, and I'm like, oh, now I might have to go and buy this game. So, if any of our viewers or listeners are listening to it, please give me some tips. I've been kind of starting to read up on it. I think I'm going to pick it up this week. Please message me and let me know what you think. I'm really excited for it. I think it looks incredible. It definitely deserves a mention in our podcast, and I think I have to try it out.
No, I agree with you. And everyone, please feel free to email us at podcast@brainal.net. You can reach us out on there. And if you have any thoughts on it, help gigs out. I'll be honest with you. I've heard about For Honor. I think just recently it was either Coffee or Jeffrey that told me a little bit more about the game. It wasn't something that I was excited about, but then I started seeing a lot more content from it, and there was some kind of like hack and slash type of aspect to it. And I think it was Jeffrey that said it was kind of like the Dynasty Warriors type of hack and slash, but a lot better. I do like that type of gameplay. I mean, the chaotic type of thing. But I know for a fact that For Honor, there's going to be a lot more, strategy involved into that, and planning your moves out. So I do want to try that, and I think I may pull the trigger on my GameFly rental to do that, because
if you do, let me know, because
okay.
I will pick it up and me and you can play it.
Cool, we'll slash it out, man.
Yeah, so exactly. I'm gonna stab you in the face.
Oh, here we go.
I say
here we
that.
Go. Oh my God, here we go.
But what do you call it?
A pencil.
But I think that it's cool. I think that it's definitely much more strategic. I call it a hack and slash because I don't think there's another category you could define it in. But I think it's much more strategic than just running around like a madman. And from what I've seen, that's very true. It kind of, like Neo, it's kind of, I get the impression that it's more fighting like that, which kind of intrigues me. It's all based on technique and timing. Right. So that's what gets really exciting. But yeah, that's definitely something I think deserves an honorable mention. There is one other thing. I know I'm the big guy that plays online games out of all of us. I know you did in the past. I know Coffee did. I know obviously we all play Destiny. But I guess the big thing I'm going to mention is the Morrowind announcement last week, because I wasn't on the podcast. I thought was pretty huge. Morrowind was kind of the game that most of the people I know that play Elder Scrolls got in because of Morrowind.
Yeah, that was the same with me, man. My first encounter with Elder Scrolls was Morrowind back in the original Xbox.
Right, and I'll tell you now, my friends, I remember watching that game and thinking it was really cool not having a computer that could run it or an Xbox at the time.
Right.
So I'll tell you that I've played Oblivion. I got pretty far in and I kind of fell out just because there's so many other games I was playing. I'm kind of taking my time with Skyrim, but I do plan on beating it eventually. It's a little bit, I guess I don't mean this in a negative way, but it's just so big that I don't feel it's necessary to do everything. So I'm kind of going to focus back on the story and beat that. But I played the Elder Scrolls Online. I got a character up into like the mid-30s, and I loved it. I think the only reason I fell out was just because I got busy. Destiny came out, and none of my friends were playing it at the time. But with this Morrowind announcement, with just how good it looks, the new characters, the more dynamic with the classes that they're adding, I think that also deserves it. And Morrowind was the game that, they're really doing a fan service here, I feel. And I think they're going to do it justice from what I've seen. So, have to throw that in there. I think that was an exciting piece of news that came out last week. So, anyone who likes Morrowind, let me know. I might have to check that out too.
Cool, man. Cool. I agree with you.
That's all I got for news, man. I'm out. Out.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else too, and you know what? I don't have a question of the week, but you know what? I think we covered a lot of different topics this episode, and I appreciate you coming aboard again onto the podcast, man. Don't be a stranger, dude.
I should be back on as a regular. I miss everyone. I miss our listeners. I hope you've missed me.
Nobody.
Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure if I was to go back and listen to every podcast, there's one point where they're all like, "We're just happy that he's not here."
Yeah, and you know what? This might even be the final episode. I think you just ruined it. Right? Yeah. So it's been great.
Never heard from again.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and joining us here at the Brainal Podcast. This has been episode 57. If you like what we do, check us out on iTunes. Check us out on Stitcher. We have all of our back catalog of podcasts on there. We also have a YouTube channel, Brainal. You can check out some of our content on there. We would greatly appreciate it. And as always, please reach out to us with any ideas, any questions you have for the question of the week or anything like that. We want to hear from you guys. You can email us at podcast@brainal.net. We would love to hear from you guys. And hey, on behalf of Brainal, I'm Frozen GFX.
This is Mr. Giggles.
And again, thank you for listening. Peace.
Cheers.